Hello, everybody, and welcome to the UnWokable podcast. And the big story is Elon Musk has dropped a bombshell tonight about the Hunter Biden laptop story, proving that Twitter has colluded with the government to suppress speech, to influence elections. But I think the most shocking thing I've seen so far, and by the way, I'm joined by Red River TV's Kevin Batts tonight.
Hey, everybody. How are you doing?
And we are in Project 46 Studios. Just finished a live cast, our weekly live cast with Janelle Batts and Andrew Spino, which was really great, really fun. But we waited around for about 2 hours for the Hunter Biden laptop story to drop.
Yeah.
And all the mature people had to go home. So me and Kevin decided, hey, we need to jump on the UnWokable podcast tonight. And we've got a couple other streams going on Facebook, on others. But if you come over to UnWokable, go over to Red River TV. But you can super chat into the UnWokable podcast right now. We are accepting super chats. But the big story tonight is that Twitter did collude with the government, with the Biden administration, to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story. Elon Musk gave this to Matt Taibbi, who is one of the most trusted names in news right now. Wouldn't you say that, Kevin?
Oh, yeah. I would definitely say, Matt Taibbi, he is a part of, I guess you would say, the mainstream apparatus, but I would say he's been pretty fair on both sides for the most part, as far as you could say it. Like Glenn Greenwald, I would count him and Matt Taibbi as the two people. If they write a story, I would almost bet that it's going to be fair, because they go after the government as much as a conservative would on certain things that a lot of mainstream media would not touch.
Yep.
That's what makes Matt so popular.
Yep. Yes, it does. And you're absolutely right. Guys, I want to say that super chats are open. Hey, Noah N, thanks for chatting in. But if you want to see your chats or get involved, super chats are open and we'll get you involved. We're going to just go through this stream. We're going to go through line by line what Matt Taibbi is putting out, these bombshells coming from Twitter. And please like, subscribe, share the channel. By the way, hit the bell so you know when to get notified. Come over to UnWokable at UnWokable Pod on YouTube, and you can super chat in. So we're going to start at number one. We're going to kind of bounce back and forth reading one. Here it goes. Matt Taibbi, thread, the Twitter files. And then he continues on number two. When you're about to read what you're about to read is the first installment in a series based upon thousands of internal documents obtained by sources at Twitter.
All right, the next tweet is this is tweet in the number 3 in the tweet thread. The Twitter files tell an incredible story from inside one of the world's largest and most influential social media platforms. It is a Frankensteinian tale of human-built mechanism and grown out of the control of its designer.
Twitter, in this number 4, Twitter in its conception was a brilliant tool for enabling instant mass communication, making a true real-time global conversation possible for the first time. In an early conception, Twitter then lived up to its mission statement, giving people the power to create, share ideas, information instantly without barriers.
As the time progressed, however, the company was slowly forced to add those barriers. Some of the first tools for controlling speech were designed to combat the likes of spam financial fraudsters.
Slowly, over time, Twitter's staff and executives began to find more and more uses for these tools. Outsiders began petitioning the company to manipulate speech as well. First a little, then more often, then constantly. And here's the first big, I just want to say this is the first big drop in terms of evidence that has come up is in tweet number 8. Go ahead, Kevin.
By 2020, requests from connected actors to delete tweets were routine. One executive would write to another, more to review from the Biden team. The reply would come back handled.
So if you look at this, and I'm going to make this a little bigger so you can see it. Let me know you can see it. So on Saturday, October 24th, 2020, at 5:39 p.m., this is Twitter wrote, more to review from the Biden team. So these are tweets right here, guys. These are tweets that the Biden team reviewed on October 24th, 2020 at 8:28 p.m. So these are tweets that Twitter has let the Biden team review to take down, to take down and suppress these tweets.
Yeah, and exactly. This is something to understand here is that this is what the left likes to harp on a lot is that these are corporations. So the First Amendment only applies to it applies to government speech. It doesn't apply to corporations, Kevin. You should know that. So now we have these tweets, and if you're just now joining us, just know we are reviewing the bombshell information coming out from Twitter to Matt Taibbi, who's presenting a tweet thread where he lays out where the elites all over the globe, CEOs and the government officials are working with Twitter to suppress our political speech. So go to the next part.
Yeah, so we're going next. This is number 9. Celebrities and unknowns alike could be removed or reviewed at the behest of a political party. So this isn't just limited to just government, but by political parties,
Yes.
Republican and Democrat. So if you read here, if you look on Sunday, October 25th, 2020 at 9:58 a.m., I grabbed the first one under SI, defer to safety, and on the high profile second one. So look, this is real James Woods right here was taken down by Twitter on October 24th, 2020. This is a week or two before the 2020 election.
This is absolutely putting your fingers on the scale of an election by a private corporation working at the behest of a government, which is wholly unconstitutional. And if this is proven to come from an official in the Biden government or a government official, this is grounds for impeachment. Where you have if you have a president, if he knew, knowingly requesting that his underlings go to a corporation to suppress speech and doing this into the shadow of darkness, this is grounds for impeachment. So I guess we'll move on.
It should be grounds for impeachment. It should be. But will it go that far? I don't know.
Absolutely.
It's up to. We've got weak Republicans, don't we, man?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So this is one of the biggest ones, number 10. So both parties had access to these tools. Both parties, Republican and Democrat. For instance, in 2020, requests from both the Trump White House and the Biden campaign were received and honored. However, this is number 11. The system was balanced. The system wasn't balanced. It was based on context because Twitter was and is overwhelmingly staffed by people of one political orientation. There were more channels, more ways to complain, open to the left, Democrats, than the right. So looking at this right here, contributions by party of recipient. Look at this. 2018, total Democrats, 90. Wow. 11,000 to 300,000 across. And it just got larger and larger discrepancy in terms of the number. Laura Edwards is saying she can't hear us.
Oh, really? Let me check the stream.
So can you hear me right now? If you can, say yes. Testing 1, 2, test.
Yeah, I don't know because I'm getting audio.
You're getting audio? Okay, so
this is
I think we're okay. Laura, check your system just to make sure that you can't read. So moving forward, you want to read number 12, or can you get it? I can pull it up. It's okay. The resulting slant in content. So they're saying that basically the Twitter employees, right, guys, was they were overwhelmingly Democrat, overwhelmingly left, and therefore it was obvious which side that they were going to side with when they were doing content moderation or getting rid of tweets. Here's number 12.
I mean, this isn't content moderation. This is actually putting your fingers on the scale.
Yeah.
And I would wager to bet that some of this stuff borders on illegalities or even, like I said before, impeachment territory for a lot of folks. And just keep in mind here that, yeah, even though it was overwhelmingly for Democrats and folks like that because of the makeup of these Silicon Valley companies, the elites on the right, they dipped their toes in this thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the Trump team knew that they could reach out to Twitter and they would do things like this, in that Trump wouldn't come out and expose this and just let it be. I mean, in my mind, that's problematic for any party of the Republican side to be openly doing stuff like this.
Yeah,
But you can move on.
he's saying, I got a guy saying maybe turn up the volume a little bit, turn it up a little bit. But yes, no, and I will say this, it's not abnormal for a political campaign. It's not abnormal for a political campaign to say, hey, this certain thing is false. But having a company collude with any political campaign or any government to take something down that they can't prove one way or the other, that is the nature of free speech, right? People being able to go out and say what they want and not have that censored by, basically by political parties or the government. So here's number 12. Or here's number, okay, so the next one after that is, I guess, 12A. Okay, there was more throat clearing about the process, but screw it, let's jump forward. Number 16, the Twitter files. Part 1, how and why Twitter blocked Hunter Biden laptop story. Right here, okay? On October 14th, 2020, the New York Post published Biden's secret emails and an expose based on the contents of Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop. Twitter took extraordinary steps to suppress the story, removing links and posting warnings that it may be unsafe. I forgot about the use of that word, by the way. They called it unsafe. It's absolutely ridiculous. They even blocked its transmission via direct message. That's the truth. I remember I tried to share that with friends, that they blocked, it wouldn't show up or wouldn't even be transmittable through DMs. And that's got to let you know this, Kevin. They have access to your DMs. Twitter employees were reading your DMs.
Oh, wow.
And they were monitoring not just what you said in public, but what you said in private. So you got to understand that. And let me finish this last tweet and you can jump in. But they even blocked its transmission via direct message, a tool hitherto reserved for extreme cases, e.g. child pornography. So, hey guys, let us know if you can hear everything all right here. Super chats are open. If you're watching this on Facebook, come over to UnWokable at UnWokable Pod.
Take it.
And go ahead, Kevin.
So just to reiterate, just to go back to what we're talking about here, you have private company, and like I said before, you had these left-wing bozos telling you, oh my gosh, you don't know how the First Amendment works? It totally doesn't work that way. This is a private company. Go start your own company. So we start our own company. They shut it down. They kick it off the App Store. Not to mention, we come back and find out that not only was there collusion, there was collusion at all levels, and that these folks were working against the American people, because they're not shutting down the speech of their friends or their political enemies. They're shutting down the speech of you and me. And they're shutting down the speech to put their fingers, like I said before, on the scales. And these are exactly impeachable offenses.
Yes,
these are things that, dictators would salivate to have this kind of power. And to have these folks out here just using this thing willy-nilly, and it looks like it happened with regular occurrence. And I'm sure Elon Musk is seeing this like, oh my gosh, there's probably all kind of illegalities and issues that I need to address, so I got to just put all this forward. It's almost like if you're working at your job and you find a mess somewhere, like I work in the oil and gas sector, when you roll up on an oil and gas well and it's leaking, the first thing you do, if you didn't do it, you want to report it immediately.
That's
you want to
absolutely
let
right.
people know, because you don't want that stuff to get pinned on you, because Elon Musk knows, like, if he doesn't report that thing, somebody else is going to expose it, and they're going to try to pin it on him.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
We have a lot of questions for the incoming Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. He spent yesterday at a state dinner with Emmanuel Macron, rubbing shoulders with Hunter Biden, and then to have these things come out. This isn't just about the Hunter Biden laptop. This is about much more than that.
Yes,
this
it is.
This is the blueprint of a tool called social media that is being used against me and you, we the people. So
Right.
let's go back.
That's right. Let's go back to the stream. So here's number 19 in Matt Taibbi's.
And that stream sounds good, right?
Yeah, no, it sounded good to me. So if you all have any problems, but super chats are open. If you want to jump in and talk with us, thank you all for watching. Thank you, Chris White. Thank you, Mandy Franks, Yeast, Laura Edwards. We see you guys. Thanks for watching and supporting the channel. Noah N. Thanks for watching from Cali. We really appreciate it. Jump in and give us your thoughts on what we're now bringing out about how Twitter put their fingers on the scale, man. They screwed us. They screwed us hard. So here's number 19 in Matt Taibbi's thread. White House spokeswoman Kayleigh McEnany was locked out of her account. White House spokeswoman, I just want to say that again. White House spokeswoman Kayleigh McEnany was locked out of her account for tweeting about the story, the Hunter Biden laptop, promoting a furious letter from the Trump campaign staffer Mike Mahan, who said at least pretend to care for the next 20 days. So this is the actual email right here. This is from Mike Mahan, right? Kayleigh McEnany has been locked out of her account for simply talking about the New York Post story. She was the acting press secretary or the campaign press secretary for the sitting president of the United States. I just want to point that out. And all she did was cite the story in firsthand reporting, and that has been reported by other outlets and not disputed by the Biden campaign. That is another thing that I just completely forgot about here, guys. Biden was not disputing the story.
No, he never did.
He never did. He was just silent, and they ran interference for him. That's what happened. And they continue to say, I need an answer immediately on how she will be unblocked. This is on October 14th, 2.5, 3 weeks before the election. I also don't appreciate how nobody on this team called me regarding the news that you'll be censoring news articles. Like I said, at least pretend to care for the next 20 days. Man, here's number 20. This led public policy executives Carolyn Strom to send out a polite WTF query. Several employees noted that there was tension between the comms and policy teams who had less control over moderation and the safety trust teams. So this is on October 15th, 7:24 a.m. Carolyn Strom. Hi there. Are you able to take a closer look here? Thank you. You want to grab this one, Kevin? Or can you see
it? All right. Which number?
We're on number 21. So
all right. So moving on to number 21.
And for anybody else who might, just real quick, anybody else who might be joining us, we're going through tweet by tweet, guys. We're going through tweet by tweet of Hunter Biden's, of Matt Taibbi's story from the Elon Musk files from Twitter about what exactly was done to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story. Go ahead, Kevin. We're on number 21.
And just so you know, if you're not a Twitter person, basically what it is that you can create a tweet thread, you create a sequence of tweets that all link together to form one large narrative. So that's what we're reading through right now from Matt Taibbi, the bombshell report on all the corruption going on with this tool to shape speech and policy in the United States of America and maybe even the world. So reading tweet number 21, correct?
Yeah, 21.
Strom's notes returned the answer that the laptop story had been removed for violation of company's hacked materials policy. And so here's the email. Hi, Caroline. Thanks for reaching out to us. Per checking, the user was bounced by site integrity for violating our hack materials policy. Adding them here in further insight and guidance. Thanks. And this is a global analyst or whatever for Twitter, a Gestapo.
Yeah.
You know, definitely on the wrong side of history. They talk a lot about us being on the wrong side of history.
Mm-hmm.
We don't actively work for the government to suppress free speech for citizens.
Right.
Anyway.
No, we absolutely do not. And that is there. And as we spoke about on Project 46, on our earlier cast, there has to be some kind of accountability for this. There has to be some kind of ability for us as the people to hold the people who literally influenced an election in a certain direction. When they talked about fortifying the election, Kevin, you remember when they came out in Time magazine and they were, just laid it all out. This was part of that collusion. When you want to talk about collusion, this was part of that collusion. This was that collusion between our government and Twitter, which has been since 2015, 2016, the driver of the political conversation, of the narrative. It got Trump elected president in 2016. And it seems to me, based upon the evidence we've seen thus far, they were bound and determined not to let that happen again.
Oh, yeah. And that shows you, like, a lot of folks try to talk about, the power of social media. They talk a lot about how Twitter, it's how much influence could this platform have that only has 300 million people on it, and only probably 100 million of them, maybe even less, in the United States. How powerful could this actually be? This shows you right here, even a platform as small as Twitter, with only 300 million people, around 300 million active users. And you think about this, and then you look at places, you look at things like Facebook, exponentially larger, and they're putting their fingers on the scales all across the globe. And it makes you think, what are the things that we're not being told that happen in all these social media sites? That's one thing we need, that this will probably open up questions about, and how, is this a net positive for the world?
Right.
Because in my eyes, knowing this now, it makes me think that this is not a net positive.
Well, and if it's abused, right, it can't be a net positive. If they're keeping information from the public that could affect the presidential election, because think about everything that's happened, Kevin. Think about Afghanistan and the pullout from Afghanistan. Think about Ukraine. We went through 4 years without a single new war under Donald Trump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people have lost their lives because of the policy changes that Joe Biden have implemented since he became president. And the last poll I saw, right, there was 11 to 20% of people who said that they would have changed their vote. They would have changed their vote had they known about the Hunter Biden laptop story. So moving forward, we're going on number 22 of Matt Taibbi's stream. Although several sources recalled hearing about a general warning from federal law enforcement that summer about possible foreign attacks.
Foreign hacks.
Yeah, foreign hacks. Sorry, my fault. There's no evidence that I've seen of any government involvement in the laptop story. In fact, that might have been the problem. Interesting. The decision was made at the highest levels of the company, but without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey, with former head of legal, policy, and trust Vijay Gadde playing a key role. So wait a minute.
Okay.
So
this opens up a whole new thing. And, you saw whenever, Elon was attacking her and all these different things and all these puff pieces about her and how great she was, and she was one of the first people he sent packing. And there was a lot of, there were a lot of people like really outraged by this. And now just seeing this information, Vijay Gadde, she appears to be, by these documents, these documents that Matt Taibbi is kind of went through and brought forth, that she probably was the sole person, one of the ringleaders of this whole issue.
Yeah, no, I think it seems that she's the connection. And we can all remember when she was on Joe Rogan with Tim Pool.
Yes.
And they could not answer these questions, and she danced around like she was Muhammad Ali, right? But she got tagged. Tim really laid it out, and they never answered those questions. And now we can see through what Matt Taibbi is bringing us that there's a reason for that, Kevin.
Absolutely.
There's a reason for that. So this is number 24. They just freelanced it, is how one former employee characterized the decision. Hacking was the issue, but within a few hours, pretty much everyone realized that it wasn't going to hold, but no one had the guts to reverse it. So let's put that in context of the number 23. I'm going to read these two together. So the decision was made to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story, was made at the highest levels of the company, Twitter, but without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey, with former head of legal, policy, and trust Vijay Gadde playing a key role. They just freelanced it, end quote, is how one former employee characterized the decision. Hacking was the excuse, but within a few hours, pretty much everyone realized that wasn't going to hold, but no one had the guts to reverse it. Moving on to 25. You can see the confusion in the following lengthy exchange, which ends up including Gade and former trust and safety chief Yoel Roth, who was just recently fired by Elon Musk.
Yep.
Comms official Trenton Kennedy writes, I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marking this as unsafe. So look at this. So this is October 14, 2020, New York Post Hunter Biden laptop article. This is the actual exchange. Privileged and confidential. I bet they wanted this to stay confidential, didn't they? You know?
Yes.
They wanted this to stay confidential. Our teams continue to investigate the origins of the material, included in the reporting. So this is from Trenton Kennedy. I'll read Kennedy. So Trenton Kennedy. I'm struggling to understand the basis for marking this as unsafe, and I think its best explainability argument for this is externally would be that we're waiting to understand if this story is the result of hacked materials. We'll face hard questions on this if we don't have some kind of solid reasoning for marking the link unsafe. Right?
Okay.
And then Katie Rosenbaum responds, will we also mark similar stories unsafe? And they threw up
and so she linked a
Fox News article, right?
Yeah.
Dear God, man.
So it shows you that, there were folks in here that were like, oh my gosh, I mean, we're kind of getting out above in front of our skis a little bit. And, what they didn't know was that the media would have their back.
Right.
And that's exactly the media did. And
well, not all the media, right? Not all the media. I mean, New York Post was pissed.
Yeah.
Fox News was pissed, right? But the media, they knew NPR was going to have their back. They knew MSNBC was going to have their back. They knew that. CNN had their back. It was obvious over the course of the campaign. And so the goal here was to suppress conservative media.
Yes.
It was ideologically driven. And that's the main part of this story, guys. That's what nobody is talking about.
So from here on out, whenever, people try to tell you, oh, they're not censoring free speech, where's your proof? You can cite this. You can cite the these bombshell reports coming out of Twitter. And if you're just not joining us, just know there are there's bombshell information coming out of Twitter via Elon Musk, and he's given this information to Matt Taibbi
about the Hunter Biden
laptop. The Hunter Biden laptop, and it's a little bit more than that too. It's kind of expanded. I think he might have undersold it a little bit, because this is not just about the Hunter Biden laptop. That's the central premise, but it really is about how this social media site was being used as a tool. We're looking behind the veil, folks. So if we can look behind the veil of this company, we could probably surmise and pull this out and look at other companies and say, is this going on at other companies? Because
well, what's going on at Facebook, man.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? This is going on at Facebook. It in many ways Facebook is worse, because I mean it will censor almost anything at all. I mean, I put up once a picture of Mickey Mouse in a mousetrap, and it censored me for violent content. It was a cartoon from a cartoon from like 1930 or 50 something, and it censored me. So this is definitely happening at Facebook. It's definitely happening at Twitter, and we got the proof of that now. So you want to read 26? You want me to?
Oh no, you go ahead.
Oh, got it. So here's 26, and there's some language here, folks, because we are quoting what they're saying.
Thanks for responding, Chris.
Yes, thank you, sir. Yes, and please chat in if you've got thoughts you want shared. Super chats are open. We'll share those on the channel.
You need to understand how we break the algorithm. We need to break the algorithm. You break the algorithm by sharing, by commenting, by liking, interacting with these posts. You got to push back against this algorithm that is suppressing these type of stories, because what they don't want these stories going viral. They want to keep them contained on Twitter. But you know what? I think if we work together, we could break the algorithm tonight, folks. So like and share this to your heart's content.
Yes, and you are the driver of media like Project 46, like UnWokable, like Red River TV. All of us working together. We've banded together to help get you the truth about what's going on, because you're not going to see this on your local news, guys. You're not going to see a breakdown of this on your local news. You won't. What you're going to see is, more of the same. And because all of those news outlets are owned by the same establishment that have censored you and censored the Hunter Biden laptop tonight. So this is number 26 of Matt Taibbi's moving forward. And again, here's some language, but just I'm quoting. By this point, everyone knew this was fucked, said one former employee, but the response was essentially to err on the side of continuing to err. So here is the next exchange between Vajagati, Yoel Roth, who was the head of what was he the head of? He was the head of we'll call him the head of suppression.
The
head of suppression. So Yoel Roth, the policy basis is hacked materials. Though, as discussed, this is an emerging situation where the facts remain unclear. So what they're saying here is that they knew at this point the hacked materials wouldn't stand. They knew that these materials, that the FBI had these materials. They knew that the New York Post, who published this story, had proven that these weren't hacked materials. They in the story they proved that where the laptop came from, that Hunter Biden had left it at a pawn shop at a place to fix the actual laptop and left it there, and it was abandoned. So he abandoned the information on it. This was not hacked material.
No.
But and here's the more pervasive part of this. They knew it wasn't hacked material, but decided just to use that as the excuse. So moving forward, this is Yoel Roth, given the severe risk here, the lessons of 2016, we're erring on the side of including a warning and preventing this content from being amplified. So when he says, Kevin, given the severe risk here and the lessons from 2016, what do you think he was talking about? What was he referring to?
Exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about the thing that conservatives have been talking about for years and that have been ridiculed and have been talked about and laughed at and all these other things. So yet again, we got to add another dollar into the Alex Jones was right jar.
Yeah.
Because this is another conspiracy theory. That's all a conspiracy theory is just you're 6 months away.
Yeah, I know, right?
6 months
it is.
from it being true. But it's just showing you that they don't want another 2016 happening because they know that
they didn't want Donald Trump to win again.
The folks left to their own devices, they're going to choose a man of the people. And so that they absolutely did put their thumb on the scales.
Yeah. When he says, given the severe risks here and lessons from 2016, they were referring to Russian collusion with the Trump campaign. That has been proven to be false, right? And they were saying that the 2016 election was, I'm not going to use the word, but because we'll get taken down off YouTube if I use it, which is the funny part.
In a heartbeat.
Right. But they were saying that the outcome of 2016 was the lesson they learned. And so what they were referring to also is the Hillary Clinton emails that came out right before the election.
Yeah.
And man, they didn't want Trump to win again, and so they were going to put their finger on the scale. And so moving forward, quoting again Yoel Roth to Vajagati, given the severe risk here and lessons from 2016, we're erring on the side of including a warning and preventing this content from being amplified. Vajagati responds, what is the warning that will come up? Yoel Roth, new. When you click the link, you'll see the generic unsafe URL message, references, spam, malware, and violations of the Twitter rules. Not ideal, but it's the only thing we have. And this goes then to Ian Plunkett, new. Whatever we do in the comms, this will become a bias claim for Jack pre-hearing immediately. Whoa.
Read that again.
Whoa. Whatever we do in the comms, this will become a bias claim for Jack pre-hearing immediately. Pre-hearing for Jack. Are they referring to like a congressional hearing?
They probably are.
So this shows collusion, intent to lie to Congress. If this were to be brought up, because they know it's going to be brought up.
Yeah.
Am I reading that wrong, Kevin?
It kind of sounds like.
I mean, it sounds like that's what it could be. So let's just read the most of what he says. So Ian Plunkett says, whatever we do in the comms, this will become a bias claim for Jack pre-hearing immediately. Let's make it clear we're proactively but cautiously interpreting this through the lens, which is critical race theory jargon, by the way, through the lens of our hacked materials policy. Oh my gosh. Sorry. They're interpreting this through the lens of our hacked materials policy, even though they know it's not hacked, and allowing the link with the warning and significant reduction of spread.
Wow.
So I just want to say this. When they're using the language through the lens of our hacked materials policy, they know that is a lie. And that is postmodern language for saying we're going to interpret this the way we want because of this policy we know that doesn't apply. We're going to use this policy as the excuse to diminish this story that could affect an election through the lens. Man, this is screwed, Kevin. This is screwed.
All right. And so if you're just now joining us on this stream, just know we are going over the newly released documents proving collusion between big tech and government. The collusion between big tech and government. The elites of the world have united behind the scenes, and they are working with big tech to suppress your and I's voice and our ability to see the truth for what it really is. So let's go back to these tweets, and we're going through this tweet thread right now.
Yep. So this is number 27. Former VP of Global Comms. What you just mentioned, Kevin. I just want to point that when you talked about global elites, I mean, you're right on it, brother. So it's like former VP of Global Comms Brandon Borman asked, "Can we truthfully claim this is part of the policy?" And then here's the policy. To Ian's point, can we truthfully claim this is part of the hacking policy? As part of our approach to addressing potentially hacked materials, we are limiting visibility of related stories on Twitter while our investigation is ongoing. So they hadn't proved it. They hadn't proved it yet. That's what he's saying there. So can we really do that? Number 28, to which former Deputy General Counsel Jim Baker again seems to advise staying the non-course because caution is warranted. Wow. So this is privileged and confidential from Jim Baker. I support the conclusion that we need more facts to assess whether the materials were hacked. By the way, the New York Post article, the New York Post is the third oldest publication in the country. It was started by, was it Ben Franklin or I mean, it was started by one of the founding fathers, okay? It may have been Ben Franklin or it was Alexander Hamilton, one of the two. It is a reputable newspaper. And they had shown that the laptop had come from Hunter Biden abandoning it. Nothing was hacked. Just want to point that out again. So Jim Baker said, you have something to say on that, Kevin?
Oh, no.
Okay, so let's read what Jim Baker has. I support the conclusion that we need more facts to assess whether the materials were hacked. At this stage, however, it is reasonable for us to assume that they may have been hacked, and that caution is warranted. There are some facts that indicate that the materials may have been hacked, while there are others indicating the computer was either abandoned, like the New York Post article, or the owner consented to allowing the repair at the shop to access it for at least some purposes. We simply need more information. Oh, my Lord. Number 29, the fundamental problem with tech companies and content, this is Matt Taibbi writing, the fundamental problem with tech companies and content moderation, many people in charge of speech care little about speech and have to be told the basics by outsiders. To wit, number 30. In one humorous exchange on day one, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna reaches out to Vijay Gadde, to gently suggest she hop on the phone to talk about the backlash re-speech. Khanna was the only Democratic official I could find in the files who expressed concern. So this is Ro Khanna. Good on Ro Khanna.
Well, I will say this. The little bit I've agreed with with some of these Democrats, Ro Khanna's been one of those.
Yeah.
Because you can always he's one of those he's one of those more old school type liberals,
Right.
where he believes in free speech because he understands that he understands it's disgusting that a mega corporation controlling the speech of the people through nefarious means. Now, if you have a corporation and you got the rules of the road and you're following it and you're being fair, hey man, that's the free market of ideas right there. That's a free market. You can go to this place or you can go to another social media site. But when you have an infrastructure set up where they run the roads, it's their roads, it's their internet, it's all these different things. They control the infrastructure. Not only that, the rules of the road are slanted against you. And not only that, on top of this, breaking the Constitution and working with these corporations to suppress people that the government does not like. So we're going to go back to the actually, you know what? Let's break the algorithm again. Let's share this.
Yeah.
Let's like this. Everyone like and share this. It's the only way we're going to get this to spread. So we're going to go back to the bombshell information. We're going to keep reading these tweets out from Matt Taibbi. Go ahead.
Yeah, about the Hunter Biden laptop. And saying again, super chats are open, guys. If you want to jump in, that is always appreciated. Help support UnWokable, help support Red River TV, help support Project 46, everything we're doing here. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, all of those things on all the channels. Here's number 30 from Matt Taibbi about the Hunter Biden laptop. In one, that's our number 31, excuse me. Gotti replies to what I had just Ro Khanna. Okay, Gotti replies immediately, diving into the weeds of Twitter policy, unaware Ro Khanna is more worried about the Bill of Rights. And I'm not going to read all this because it's obviously gobbledygook here, but basically what she is doing is she's telling Ro Khanna, I don't care about free speech. I care more about the Twitter policies. That was Vijay Gotti's, and that's what we've seen over and over again throughout the process of the last 4 or 5 years, is that Twitter cared more about its policies than the policies of the United States of America. So there's number 32. Khanna tries to reroute the conversation to the First Amendment, mention of which is generally hard to find in the file. So let's read this one. So Ro Khanna to Vijay Gotti. Ro Khanna. Hope you're very well, Vijay, but this seems to be a violation of the First Amendment principles. Man, I got newfound respect for Ro Khanna here. He's practicing what he preaches, at least. If there's a hack of classified information or other information that could expose a serious war crime, and the New York Times was to publish it, I think the New York Times should have that right. A journalist should not be held accountable for the illegal actions of the source unless they actively aided the hack. So, to restrict the distribution of that material, especially regarding a presidential candidate, wow. I have so much respect for Ro Khanna, especially regarding a presidential candidate, seems not in the keeping of the principles of the New York Times v. Sullivan. So he's referring to the Supreme Court case about free speech. I say this as a total Biden partisan and convinced he didn't do anything wrong. But the story now has become more about censorship than relatively innocuous emails, and it's becoming a bigger deal than it would have been. It also is now leading to a serious efforts to curtail Section 230. So this is interesting, many of which would have been a mistake. I believe Twitter itself should curtail what it recommends or puts in trending news. And your policy against QAnon groups is all good. It's a hard balance. But the heat of a presidential campaign restricting dissemination of newspaper articles, even if New York Post is so far right, seems like it would invite more backlash than it would do good. Please keep this communication between us and Jack, and no need to CC the team or forward to them. Just wanted to offer my 2 cents. Wow. Well, I got to give it, I'm going to refresh this. I got to give it to Ro Khanna, man. It's pretty amazing.
Well, I mean, you got to think, if you don't know, Ro Khanna, yeah, he's a progressive. I think he's in the progressive caucus, so he's probably a commie, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like just because we're, conservatives have this thing sometimes where like, if you like something, one thing someone does, it's like, oh my gosh, you're falling for it. And it's like, no, okay? People can do the right thing sometimes. Ro Khanna came out against Biden in this railroad thing, if you know, I'm not trying to go off topic.
No, you go
like
ahead.
that, but I mean, if you don't understand what happened with these railroads, the railroads, they fired a bunch of people because of COVID and the fact that some of these folks wouldn't get vaccinated and all these other things. And they had them working for like 60, 70, 80 days straight with no days off. And they were covering double, triple shifts like crazy hours.
What? That's nuts.
And I mean, this is your Berkshire Hathaway. This is your Warren Buffett right here. These are the masters of industry in the modern era. So these guys with these unions, they're like, no, dude, we need to renegotiate these contracts because you guys just got all this money from COVID and all these other things, all these elaborate schemes you're doing with government, not the free market. And so they're just saying, we just want a few extra days off.
Right.
And they said, we're going to go on strike if you don't. Well, Biden says, no, the heck you're not. They have a provision that says that for major infrastructure that that the Senate can override a strike in that sector because it's known as like a critical sector. So whether or not you agree with this, agree with being on the side of these unions or not, I stand with these union guys because I mean it's ridiculous.
Well, the reason they were in that problem in the first place, right? The reason they were in that problem in the first place was because of the COVID policies handed down by the government, right?
Absolutely. And not only that, it's just they pushed through a proposal. The Biden administration tried to force a proposal down their throats, and the unions voted against them, voted against Biden, pushed the thing back and said, no, we are not going to do this. You're going to give us these extra days. You're going to give us this extra money. And Biden said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the Senate. And he went to the Senate, and he has a friend in these Senate Republicans, and they pushed it down their throats. So you got to understand, it's not just, they're against the working class people. That's what these tweets show.
Yes.
That's what this new Hunter Biden bombshell information that's coming out from Matt Taibbi and Elon Musk, that's what it shows. These people at every level, Republican and Democrat, these elites, they are against you. They are not for us.
Right, and that's what Donald Trump at that point was fighting against. He said, I'm standing up for you. And that's why he was popular. That's why he won the presidency. And you say whatever you want about him sitting down with Nick Fuentes. You say whatever you want about him, which was all set up, by the way.
Obviously.
It was obviously set up.
Obviously.
And first, I'm going to go off on my own rabbit trail for a second.
Go on a rabbit.
Nick Fuentes and Milo Yiannopoulos are trolls, brothers. They are trolls, and they are getting revenge on Donald Trump. And Milo Yiannopoulos said this on Tim Pool. By the way, I've been a guest on Tim Pool, so go look for my episode a little while ago. And by the way, like, subscribe, and share this channel. And
Based Brian Stelter.
Yeah. Oh, based. That's what they called me on Tim Pool. They called me the based Brian Stelter. Do I look like Brian Stelter? Please. I think I sound a little bit like Brian Stelter. I need to lower my voice. Don't do that, man. But I am based. I'm not Brian Stelter, and I've got more hair than Brian Stelter. Okay, but one thing I will take is his paycheck, Kevin.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll take Brian Stelter's paycheck. I'm okay with that.
So now that we've had this palate cleanser of us going down our rabbit trails, we're going to get back to the bombshell that just came out from Twitter explaining how Twitter has had their thumbs on the scales of our democracy, truly on the wrong side of history. So let's go to
let's go back to number 33. This is number 33 of Matt Taibbi reporting this. Okay. Within a day, so they had just had to get us back into it. Congressman Ro Khanna, basically wrote in as a Democratic congressman and said, "Guys, y'all are trampling on free speech." So within a day, number 33, the head of policy, Lauren Culberson, receives a ghastly letter report from Carl Szabo of research from a firm NetChoice, which I had already polled 12 members of Congress, 9 Republicans, 3 Democrats from the House Judiciary Committee to Rep. Judy Chu's office. So this is right here. This is the email. Lauren, yesterday, NetChoice's Chris Marches met informally with 9 Republicans and 3 Democrats from House staffers to gather intel about Facebook and Twitter in the New York Post story. The staffers hail from the House Judiciary Committee to Rep. Judy Chu's office. NetChoice lets Twitter know a bloodbath awaits in upcoming Hill hearings, with members saying it's a tipping point, complaining tech has grown so big that they can't even regulate themselves, so government may need to intervene. High level takeaway, every Republican said this is a tipping point. It's too much, and both Democrats and Republicans were angry. Number 35, Zosbo reports to Twitter that some Hill figures are characterizing the laptop story as Tech's Access Hollywood moment. So they're referencing the 2016 Access Hollywood moment where Trump said that he was going to grab women by their hoo-haws, right? So when asked about how bad the situation is, one staffer said, "It's Tech's Access Hollywood moment. It has no Hillary to hide behind." Others were more blunt. Tech is screwed, and rightfully so. Well, too bad that hasn't come to fruition, man, because government did pretty much nothing to take care of this because why? Democrats won the House and the Senate. That's why.
Yeah.
You know, the Democrats won the House and the Senate. That's why. So moving 36. Twitter files continued. The First Amendment isn't absolute. Quote. That's the headline of this tweet number 36 by Matt Taibbi from the bombshell Hunter Biden laptop story. Thank you, Elon Musk, by the way, for giving us this information so we could see what was actually going on. The First Amendment isn't absolute. Zosbo's letter contains chilling passages relaying Democratic lawmakers' attitudes. They want more moderation. And as for the Bill of Rights, it's not absolute. Wait a minute. They didn't even say the First Amendment. They said the Bill of Rights. It's not absolute.
Wow.
Holy. Okay. Just reading this. The Democrats, meanwhile, complained that the companies are inept. They let conservatives muddy the water and make the Biden campaign look corrupt, even though Biden is innocent. Why were they making that justification? Why were they the ones that were allowed to decide this for us, Kevin? I mean, this is ridiculous. Moving forward, they linked this to the Hillary Clinton email scandal. She said nothing wrong, but because the press wouldn't let the story go, it became a scandal far out of proportion. In their mind, social media is doing the same thing. It doesn't moderate enough harmful content, so when it does, like it did yesterday with the New York Post story about the Hunter, it becomes a story. If the companies moderated more, conservatives wouldn't even think to use social media for disinformation, misinformation, or otherwise. What? So the Democrats here are making the case that, guys, if we did more moderation, the Republicans wouldn't notice when we suppress stories that could affect a presidential campaign because we would moderate so much they wouldn't know to complain. That's what they're saying right now.
Yeah.
This is bad, dude. This is super bad. The Democrats were in agreement. Social media needs to moderate more because they're corrupting democracy, and making all truth relative. The iron law of woke projection there. When pushed on how the government might insist on that, consistent with the First Amendment, they demurred. The First Amendment isn't absolute. Kevin, I have no words, man. What do you got on that? That
truly a draconian pronouncement from our overlords. You know, this isn't a drill. This is real life. You know, we're living in a time right now where we're getting to see these things firsthand. We just have to thank God that, you know, exposure is coming down, because for a long time, you know, this stuff, you think this is the first time things like this happened? You know, we can go back to the 90s, we can go back to the 80s, we can go back to, you know, even before that. Since time immemorial, there have been people who have sought to control speech, who have sought to gain power through, you know, nefarious means. And we're living in a time where, you know, they absolutely do hate. They hate that the Magna Carta was started. They hate the fact that we have a Bill of Rights. They hate the fact that we have, you know, we have a Bill of Rights that tells the government what it can't do. They want to flip it on its head and make it a document about what we must do for the government. They want us to be slaves to them and their bureaucracy and their power and their thirst for ever more grasping more and more to take away our liberties. Every time you surrender liberty to these folks, it's just that boot on your neck gets tighter and tighter. You're almost like a frog in boiling water. It's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. But we thank God for exposure. We thank God for clarity. And we just hope that more exposure comes because of this. You know, we hope that Republicans grow a spine. But I'm here to tell you, folks, it's not about them being scared. It's not about them not having a spine. They want this. This is a game. This is all an illusion. The little fights you see, WWF, all this stuff, that's all it is. It's wrestling. It's fake. That's what you're going to see in Washington, D.C. posturing after these bombshell reports coming out. You're going to see Kevin McCarthy call for hearings. You're going to see, you might see Republican congressmen call for impeachment. Don't be fooled. You know, you and I, we have a choice we have to make. Are we going to go along with these games, or are we going to get real about the situation that we face right now? And every single day, more and more bombshells come out and more things get exposed. It's accelerating. So as we continue to go through these tweets, this huge, and if you're just now joining us, you know, hey, give us a like. We need those likes. We need the shares. We need the interaction. We need you going into the comments and typing things. This is how we beat the algorithm. This is how we put this information out. We are citizen journalists. You know, we're not rich. We're not with the elites. We're not owned by corporate powers. It's just us in here in this little room telling you that your government has co-opted the marketplace of free speech in this country. And if they'll do this here, then, you know, what will they do in other parts of the world where they actually act with more reckless abandon? So we're going to get back to these tweets. And hopefully,
well, it looks like that may have been. Oh no, wait, here we go.
Oh, is there more?
No,
okay.
Yeah, there's more. There's more.
So we're gonna go through some of these tweets, and we'll get back. So I just wanted to offer that palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Of darkness. So now,
but we are the light, man. That's the thing. The truth will set you free, and that's what Elon Musk has given us here. And you know, I don't worship the man because he makes me nervous, to be honest. When you're talking about when you have that much power, but this is showing he's at least on the side of free speech. He's at least on the side of showing what actually happened in these situations, and showing us what we need to do and who we need to look at in order to keep our speech free and in order to have a voice in this conversation. So we're moving on. This is next in Matt Taibbi's. An amazing subplot of the Twitter Hunter Biden laptop affair was how much was done without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey. That doesn't surprise me, to be honest. And how long it took for the situation to get unfucked, as one ex-employee put it, even after Dorsey jumped in. So this is interesting. I just want to point that in context, is that Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk were in communication when Elon was talking about buying Twitter, and Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey even talked about bringing him back on. And there was, if you remember, there was a cryptic tweet from Jack Dorsey not long after the 2020 election, and right after he resigned, where he said, you know, if only you knew everything that was going to happen. That I remember that tweet from Jack Dorsey, and I think this is probably what he was talking about, because he didn't know it was happening. Vajra Gadi and these other Twitter employees took it upon themselves without even letting their CEO know.
Well, you know, this goes back to, you know, when you're a leader, you have to be a strong leader. You can't be a weak leader. So what you know, and I've read a lot of things about Jack Dorsey, even before like all the controversies with Twitter, you know, about, you know, a lot of his libertarian ideals towards free speech and him being a free speech absolutist. You know, and I believe it. I believe that he has these ideals, but I also believe that he's a weak man. And when you're a leader and you're weak, this is the result. You have people under you that are undermining you and that are acting in the most, sabotaging way towards your corporation. And, from everything I've read, the 2 times he left the company, he was forced out both of those times.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was too weak to actually do what needed to be done to clean out, this thing that he made called Twitter. And however brilliant the idea was, it got away from him because he was too weak of a man to actually take the reins and be that leader that he needed to be. And so, like him or hate him, Elon Musk, there are some problems with him. Just because you like him on these things doesn't mean you agree wholeheartedly and he's the greatest man since sliced bread. No. Elon Musk has his problems. I have a lot of problems with Elon Musk. I feel like, a lot of the things with the subsidies and all these things, Neuralink and all these other things, but I also am two minds when it comes to subsidies, because I'd rather an American loving patriot like Elon Musk get a subsidy than them give subsidies to some foreign sinkhole that we won't, talk about, or any other of these foreign endeavors that we're doing across the world. I say it like this, if the government's going to give you something, I would say just take it, because I would rather you get it than some guy who just came across the border get it and squander it, or some dictator in some foreign land get it through some kind of backdoor deal with the State Department for bags full of cash. Anyway, so let's get back to these tweets.
Yeah. So we're moving on here, and this is really interesting. While reviewing Gotti's emails, so this is he's not numbering in them anymore. He's just kind of going. So this is after 34.
Oh my God.
We're what, 35, 36.
Oh my gosh, he is getting after it.
Getting after it. While reviewing Gotti's emails, I saw a familiar name, my own. Oh.
Wow.
Dorsey sent her a copy of my Substack article blasting the incident. So this is a copy of the email. With the Hunter Biden expose, suppression is a bigger scandal than the actual story. So this seems to be when Jack Dorsey got involved, was when Matt Taibbi sent him his article, or he read Matt Taibbi's article. And keep in mind, look here at this date right here, guys. This is October 24th, 2020, just weeks before the election. Remember this. Remember that the timeline here matters. That if we would have had this information on October 31st, 2020, we would probably have a different president right now. We would probably have those 11 dead Marines would still be alive from Afghanistan, right? We probably wouldn't have a war in Ukraine. We would probably have more peace in the Middle East. We would probably not have had $5 a gallon gas. Think about everything that has happened, because Gotti and these assholes, these tyrannical, fascistic,
power hungry. This is fascism.
Yeah,
this is the face of fascism.
Yeah, that's what this is. Real fascism, not the kind that they told you about on CNN.
Hitler could only dream of something like this.
Right, that's right. Because he didn't have these capabilities, did he?
No. And also he didn't have a public that was so a segment of the public that was so brainwashed they believed all this stuff that they pushed down.
Yeah. No, this is unforgivable. This is absolutely unforgivable. So, moving forward, this is Matt Taibbi, 31 minutes ago. There are multiple instances in the files of Dorsey intervening to question suspicions and other moderation actions for accounts across the political spectrum.
So that's saying basically Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter at the time, he was working behind the scenes saying, hey, what are you guys doing with this?
Right.
Why are you banning this person for this? Even Republicans or conservatives like, hey, I don't agree with this guy's what he's saying, but you can't be banning this guy for this. And they probably, just like I said before, weak. A CEO shouldn't have to pass. If my boss has to show me a little thing going on with something that I'm doing or something in my periphery, that boss needs to let me go because I'm not doing my job. So apparently they weren't, following the things that he probably would have done. So his culture wasn't coming down from him. The culture he had already built,
right,
took over. and overpowered him. So I guess moving on to the next one. This one was 10 minutes ago. Is that the next one?
This the next one.
The problem
was,
with hacked materials.
Yeah, the problem is a 38
problem with hacked materials.
Yeah, the multiple
ruling.
instances. That was 11 minutes ago. So he's still going, brother. He's been doing this for an hour and a half or so. So the problem with hacked materials ruling, several sources said, was that this normally required an official law enforcement finding of a hack. Interesting. But such a finding never appears throughout what one executive describes as a whirlwind 24-hour company-wide mess. Pardon me. Hi, owls. What does that mean? I don't know. As you're probably aware, Twitter action tweets. Is it actioned? Oh, actioned. I guess that's the term they use for censored. Twitter action tweets yesterday relating to the New York Post articles that were tweeted out that allegedly included pictures and screenshots of emails from laptop that allegedly belonged to Hunter Biden, presidential candidate Joe Biden's son. Our teams made the determination that the materials fall under our hacked materials policy in addition to sharing personal information. So links were actioned, meaning they were censored. As you may know, this existing policy framework was launched in 2018 to mitigate real-time harm based on hack leak scenarios coming out of the 2016 election. So they're directly relating this to, hey, what came out about Hillary Clinton's emails probably made her unelectable, and it affected that election, which was real, by the way. And that hacking caused our preferred candidate, not to win. So we instituted in 2018 a different policy to make sure that our preferred candidate, anything that would harm him, we could take care of it. So they pre-planned for this. So when they talked about in Time magazine the collusion to fortify the election, this is what they were talking about.
Yeah.
This is what they were talking about, Kevin. So moving on with this, they said several high-profile accounts, including press outlets, were impacted by this decision and were actioned. Unfortunately, the language that was provided in the product may have created confusion, indicating that the links were spam or unsafe. Consequently, Twitter's safety explained the reasoning here in the thread. This morning, the New York Post tweeted additional links to the stories that contained pictures and screenshots of emails that were also actioned. The teams determined that a Trump campaign tweet that previously was actioned for containing PPI, not sure what PPI is, would not be reactioned when it was retweeted without the PPI blurred. So I'm just going to continue with the rest of this. So I know there are questions whether you probably have. I know there are questions that you probably have and are probably getting a lot of incoming from stakeholders, governmental. Oh, I hate the term stakeholders, by the way. Governmental, academic, civil society, etc.
Civil society.
This is that sentence right there. They described communofascism. They just described, when they use the term stakeholders, this is straight out of ESG, CCP style government control of private industries. This is public-private partnership, guys. That sentence right there was an admission. It was an admission of them combining together with government, academic. So when I tell you about the University of Oklahoma and their research verticals, right? Their research verticals, and they're crossing boundaries to create, to solve big global problems. The big global problem they want to solve is you. And this right here proves they were doing it in the election of 2020, and y'all should be pissed about it. You should be very upset. Heads proverbial need to roll for this, Kevin.
Yeah, politically.
Yeah, there needs to be answers for this, because what they just described was a public-private partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what we need to do just real quick is a palate cleanser before we start kind of winding this down, because we kind of got through a lot of tweets. I know it can be a little dry, guys. So we're going to go through some of the some of the comments that I got on my Facebook page. I guess you can read some of yours if you
Yeah.
got some really good
Well,
ones.
I got some coming in. Yeah. Go ahead.
So here's one comment from Andy Franks. I can't hear your sound. It's so quiet. No, I'm joking. Okay, I'm joking. Okay, moving through. You know, my boy Matt Wolf coming through, you know, saying a partnership between government and private interests. What's that word for? Yes, fascism. That's it. Absolutely. And also, let me find another comment. Chris White with a yes sir, you know, reacting to some of our statements.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for the views, guys. Thank you for
really
watching.
appreciate it.
Definitely spread the words. Laura Edwards, thank you for tuning in. So do you have any
classic liberal right here, guys? The Bill of Rights stands in the way of progress.
Absolutely.
That's what he's saying. And this is a guy that follows me on Twitter as well, and brilliant guy. And he says the three branches, the three branches and states' rights stand in the way of progress. That's exactly what we're seeing here, man.
And that's what it was designed. It was designed to slow things down to protect your liberty.
And Karl Marx defined true democracy as only socialism, communism. That's from Noah N. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching. Yeah. And here's one. Did you read this one from Max Wolf? Or Matt Wolf?
Matt Wolf.
Yeah, he says they had zero evidence to justify the claim that the LP was hacked. That's right.
Absolutely.
They had zero evidence. Zero evidence.
Yeah.
And again, you should be very upset about this, guys. You should be really, really upset. You should be demanding that we hold these people accountable for this. And how many more do we have here? Only got a couple more. Do you need to wrap up here, Kevin?
Oh, no.
Okay.
We can go through this last tweet, and then we can kind of wrap up.
Last tweet, dude, he's got more.
Oh, there's more?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How many
He's
more?
moving. I don't know. Hold on. He's got...
Oh, he said, good night, everyone. Thanks for all those who picked up the phone in the last few days. Okay.
Oh, yeah, so that was 12 minutes ago. So we got three more. Let's go through the rest of it.
Let's go through the last
Let's
three.
go through so we can finish it up.
We'll kind of sum this all up.
Yeah. The problem with hack materials ruling, and then 14 minutes. The whirlwind, it's been a whirlwind 96 hours for me too. There's more to come, including answers to questions about issues like shadow banning, boosting, follower accounts, the fate of various individual accounts, and more. These issues are not limited to the political right. Oh, interesting. Well, and I will say this, you know, I've been active on Twitter for 2 years. I've had 21,000 followers 18 times. And I've had people report to me that I've unfollowed them without me having unfollowed them, that I've blocked them without being blocked. I've been shadow bound, ghost banned.
Oh yeah.
All of the above.
Everybody has a story, and some worse than others, but I mean there are a lot of stories about the goofball things that go on with a conservative's Facebook page, but then you look over, well, not all conservatives. We do have a little group.
Right.
We do have a small cadre of conservatives that you've never seen banned. You know, you just
those upper echelon conservatives that
you can't. We're not. You know what? We're not even gonna start no drama today.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah, I know. We ain't got time for drama right now.
You can find them at the top of YouTube and Facebook algorithms as far as conservative media goes to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's move on.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah. He said basically, look, there's more to come. But as I said just a minute ago, guys, you should be very upset. You should reach out to your own legislators in your state and your federal government and demand that they ask for answers. Demand that they get answers from these big tech companies. The House is run by the Republicans now. Make sure McCarthy and all the heads of the committees that can investigate this, because it is very, very likely this affected who the next president of the United States was.
And not to mention state and local elections. You know, I do know I have friends, right? You know, I talked to a guy recently that ran for a statewide office, you know, and his Democrat opponent was able to place ads with ease on Facebook and this candidate had a lot of problems putting ads on Facebook and was asked for all this information. And it's little things like that. So I mean, you see, it's not just putting your finger on the scales of a presidential election. It's local things, things happening in communities. You wonder why our schools and everything have gotten so far out of whack. I think that these social media sites have a lot to do with this, and the fact that we just threw a tablet in our kids' hands for the past few years, since probably the early thousands, since this technology has really taken off, is really the fruit of that is starting to show with a lot of these kids having all these issues now, all these supposed issues. So I think the takeaway from all this is that, if you're awake, this is just something that will show you that, absolutely you were right. We don't want a pat on the back. We don't want to be right.
Right.
A lot of us don't want to be right, but we have eyes to see.
And ears to hear.
Yeah, and absolutely. So what I will tell you this, if you are awake, share this with a friend who might be on the edge or who might not be paying attention. Share this stream with them and show them, like, look, man, they just came out with this information that shows that big tech was colluding against you and me, the American everyday folks, and that there were a few patriots, few and far between, that stood up, and some of them were Democrats and some of them were people you wouldn't expect. And that, we might not agree with everybody that's on our side with this free speech thing, but if a person can understand that why it's so important to have free speech, they're going to be for free speech no matter whose speech it is.
That's right. Well, and I may disagree with I may disagree with what you say, but I fully agree with your right to say it, right?
Absolutely. So what's your, kind of wrapping this thing up? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are this, man, that I have declared upon the altar of God eternal hostility over every tyranny over the mind of man.
Absolutely. I love that.
That is my thought on this. And Twitter, over the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, has been a tyranny on the mind of man, perpetrated by a very small group of communists, a very small group of communo-fascists that believe that their opinions trump your right to be heard, that their opinions trump your right to hear and see the information that would affect your choice for the next president of the United States, the single most powerful person in the history of the world. You absolutely cannot. You cannot allow this to go unheard. You cannot allow this to go without people knowing what has happened here. So that's why you do have to share this. Share this stream, share Project 46, share Red River TV, share the UnWokable podcast channel. Because this is local news that we're giving you in our own context. But the only way that this changes, ladies and gentlemen, is if people see it and hear it. That's the only way. That is the only way. So if you too are tired and done with tyranny over the mind of man, don't let this video go unshared. Don't let your friends go without knowing this information again. Kevin, man, this has been great. This has been really fun. We're going to do more of these.
Yep.
And this partnership is we're just getting started.
Absolutely. Just getting started.
Yeah. So everybody, please like, subscribe, share the channel, hit the bell, and we are going to sign off for the evening. I'm Mark Owsley with the UnWokable podcast channel. It's Kevin Batts with Red River TV, and we're out, guys.